Alex, are you able to hear me?
We can hear you, Michael.
All right, excellent. Here, I'll set the, I'll turn off the lobby. Welcome, everybody. We'll give it a few minutes, and then we'll jump right in. And Alex, I'm not just using my avatar because it's cool. I got shingles on my face, and I look like I was either attacked by a panther or shot in the face with a shotgun. So,
Oh no! Oh no!
oh yeah, oh yeah. So, that is the avatar is mandatory for today.
I'll be on camera, not using avatar. So we'll have one avatar and one real person.
All right. Are you
Semi-real.
saying
Semi-real.
my avatar is not a real person? What are you saying? I'm not sure I like that.
You're real in Metaverse, Michael. Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Love it.
I'll go ahead and get our slides going as well here. So Fran, avatars are in private preview, and they will be coming to the commercial version of Office 365 in May, and then eventually they will be coming to the government community cloud, we hope. So I feel your pain at that last statement. Eventually, maybe, I hope. Alex and I have been serving our public sector customers for quite a while, and that's a constant source of frustration. But the really cool thing is, and what we're going to talk about today is not with avatars, but we have ways of bringing you wonderful benefits, even when there's a feature doesn't exist. All right, Alex, my PowerPoint Live is acting up a little bit. I'll try one more time, and then I'll just share my screen. Go old school.
Sounds good. That's what I usually do.
Hey, Roxy, how are you? Roxy's one of my customers here in Texas. Okay, I'm going to just share my screen, Alex, and I'll just go old school here. Oh, you know what? I'm going to try one other thing. I'm going to try the present in Teams feature in PowerPoint and see if that brings it in. PowerPoint Live I love, but every once in a while it gives a little challenge to particular slide decks, and I'm not sure why. Okay. Okay, it's having difficulty, so I'm just going to go ahead and share, Alex, and I'll get us kicked off here. All right. And Alex, if you could just keep an eye on the chat. If there's anything that comes up just here in the next couple of minutes while I kick us off, that would be great. And just
Sounds
interrupt
good.
me, okay?
Yep.
Yeah.
We can see your screen.
Yeah, I want to say welcome Okay, perfect. Want to welcome everybody. Really appreciate the desire to learn about alternatives that we have to help you with the goal of engaging your employees and helping your employees with training. We had this wonderful program that many of you took advantage of called the Customer Success Training Program. And unfortunately, that program was canceled as part of some pretty significant cuts that we had, about 10,000 people at Microsoft, some of which were really close friends and very talented people. So what we wanted to do today is really share with you a training environment that is available as part of your subscription and part of your relationship with Microsoft at no additional cost. And show you what it is and show you why we think it's really valuable. And then we're going to teach you just a little bit about how you set it up today, but we're going to do an office hours scheduled, and we'll do a follow-up with that office hours for everybody. And we're gonna, if you have any challenges getting it set up, we'll have instructional documents, we'll have office hours. If you just really need our help and you just can't figure it out, we'll actually get on the phone with you and just like step you through it. Because it truly is a wonderful training environment that is in your environment, but is hosted, the content is hosted and created and maintained by Microsoft. So when we look at hybrid work, and we recognize, I think most of us recognize by now that we are never going back to the old way. We're never all going back to work, and maybe your agency, everybody did go back to work, but that is not the case across the board. I have very large customers who 50% of their workforce will never go to an office again. They changed the way that the buildings they lease, they've changed the layouts of their floors, they've done more huddle rooms and moved away from dedicated offices. So when we look at hybrid work and the employee engagement lifecycle across these phases of recruiting, onboarding, retention, and then this concept that we call alumni, we have a lot of ways that we, Microsoft, can work with you in the public sector to maximize your efficiency as well as your success in recruiting, using some really modern techniques to attract the best and brightest. What we really find with our young people is they are very mission oriented and they are purpose driven. And when they feel on purpose and they feel aligned to a mission, they are some of your most productive and best workers. And that's what we're seeing across the whole United States and across the world. And so we want to really work with y'all across these phases. I'll hit on alumni because that may not make sense to some of you. I had the opportunity to work with an executive director that's like a CEO of one of our state agencies here in Texas. And one of the things that he shared with me is that during the pandemic, they actually, he felt, and it's really all the quantitative analytics showed that their culture actually got better, and the sense of belonging and mission alignment got become more powerful and more embedded into their employees. And one of the things they do is they have an alumni. So when someone leaves that organization, it's called the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation, they actually keep in contact with them. And one of the goals behind that is that because they are so mission oriented and driven as an organization and very effective as an organization, they found that a lot of employees continue to refer people, great candidates to the organization when they know that there's an opening, and they also have a higher tendency to boomerang back, which at Microsoft we call them boomerangs, which are people that leave and then come back. Because as we all know, the grass is not always greener on the other side of the fence. And so the other thing that we really know, and this comes out of our Work Trend Index, which is a annual study that we do that is, you can see it, it's right down here. Um, and the Work Trend Index is an annual report where we work with about 30,000 employees across the world, 30 countries, and really look at what are the latest trends that are going on. And this data comes from our 2022 Work Trend Index and just really shows what's happening in the world, and that there's this disparity in belief around productivity between business leaders and the actual people that are on the ground doing the work. and we call that the productivity paradox. And so we need better ways to show our leaders that we are being productive. But one of the biggest things that you'll see in all of these is that retention is a challenge, and that people are very willing to change jobs and move somewhere else if they're not allowed to work remotely, and if they're not given an opportunity when they are working remotely to feel like they're a first-class citizen in remote meetings and that they are really valued. And I was actually in a training internally to Microsoft today. We were talking about some of the latest statistics, and what it shows is that 74% of people, when surveyed, if they had felt like they were valued as an employee, that they knew how they contributed, and that the organization valued them, and really how that shows up is around training and investing in that employee and their career, that they would have stayed. So 74% of people that left said that they would have stayed if they felt valued and they felt like they had a career path and a training opportunity. So we're going to show you just one of the things that we can do using the technologies that you have through Office 365 and Microsoft 365 to really create these strong workplace relationships. And so we're really looking at the statistics on the direct team and then the broader organization for respondents who have a thriving relationship. So a Thrive score is something we use at Microsoft to talk about how engaged an employee is. And when someone has high engagement and they feel valued and they have a good relationship with their manager and their peers, they have a high Thrive score. And so when someone has a high Thrive score, it really results in them staying and them recommending that agency or that public sector organization to their friends and wanting to work with great people. And so it just results in great satisfaction. We know that training is a big part of that. So what we're going to do today is really dig in, as we said earlier, on one of the ways that we can enable training in your environment at no cost to you. And with that, I will hand it over to Alex to talk a little bit about learning pathways and what we have that can help. Alex.
Thank you, Michael. And I'm gonna steal your presentation, and hopefully
All right.
everyone can see my screen. So one thing
Yes.
that I kind of want to double click on what Michael mentioned is when we talk about employee experience, we want to build a culture of learning in organizations. And there are a lot of different things that goes into this culture of learning. Michael highlighted a lot of important aspects. It's a obviously sponsorship from top of the organization, from a leadership. Implementation of different learning management systems. So what we will discuss today is just a supplementary way of increase your learning and training, specifically for Microsoft products, for the platforms that we all like and use every day, a Microsoft 365 platform. So what I want to cover today with you is a little bit overview of learning pathways. Figure out, we go a little bit technical, but not too much technical, because not everyone likes very complex technical conversation, but I will cover some of the ways how you can install and deploy this particular solution. We'll talk about customization and some tips and tricks, and hopefully we'll have a little bit of time left for Q&A. But as Michael mentioned, we will be holding office hours in the future where we can dive a little bit deeper and address different questions. You can use obviously our chat window to type some questions, and Michael will be happy to answer them. Okay, so let's dive right into it. So what it is, what this Microsoft 365 learning pathway, and the short description, and this literally copy verbatim from Microsoft Learn site, that this is a learning pathway, is customizable on-demand learning solution designed to increase usage and adoption Microsoft 365 services in your organization. That's the key phrase, to increase usage and adoption, because some of you who change managers, people who work with adoption and change management, one of the strategic point when you go through the methodology, process methodology of adopting is knowledge, right? So people will use platform and feel comfortable with that if they have enough knowledge. And different people try to consume learning and training in different ways. Some like instructor-led training. Some of people like to have quick tips, information, materials about a specific product. So this is what Learning Pathway is delivers. It delivers that content to end users, allows them to quickly get information about different product across the entire platform. So what exactly comes in, how this solution is built? So we have a SharePoint online communication site. Everyone knows SharePoint and like it, and this solution is based on SharePoint. That's important to know, because when I will jump into the demo, you will see a lot of SharePoint. If you used to see SharePoint, if you can't comfortable with SharePoint as a platform, as a tool, you will fit right into learning pathway way of thinking. It's very easy to provision. I'll cover it as well. Um, the thing that both Michael and I like, it's customizable. So you can make this platform your own. You can bring your own content. You can customize the content that Microsoft tries to deliver to you. So that's another strong advantage of this solution. And also up-to-date content. And up-to-date, I put it in air quotes, because there is a specific schedule when Microsoft refreshes content in the learning pathways. And usually it's by quarter, and Microsoft trying to keep up and publishing actually when the last content has been published, so you know kind of a schedule. But the last time when this information has been shared, it was told to us that it's on quarterly basis. So if we kind of dive into the architecture, and I promise it's going to be the only slide on architecture, it just shows you how the content gets into your tenant. And this everything that we will see today, it's applied to GCC. I saw Hector ask the question about GCC. Yes, everything that we have will be discussed today applies to GCC, and my demo actually based on GCC tenant. So the mechanics of content, how it gets into learning pathway on your particular tenant. So every time when deployment happens in your tenant, so Microsoft through the GitHub and CDN process identifies what tenants actually got deployment of learning pathways. And then on periodic schedule, it pushes the latest content. And when I say the latest content, it's basically a list of catalog, playlist, and item assets that kind of store on your content, on your tenant, because the rest of the information actually sits on Microsoft supportoffice.com, on Microsoft resources. What Learning Pathway allows you to do is just, it allows you to view that content in your SharePoint environment. So quickly, what's included in the Learning Pathway solution? So we have modern SharePoint experience. That's what it's built on. Um, it's a portal that based on communication site, as I mentioned before. We will see there are specific web parts that allow the content to be served in your SharePoint site. So SharePoint users and people who work with SharePoint in the past, you know that everything that we see in SharePoint comes down to the web part. It's just a component that built to deliver certain content in certain format, in certain form. So the web parts for Learning Pathway solution, they allow to bring that content, learning content, into your SharePoint sites. It's a web solution, looks great. tailored specifically for SharePoint communication communities and needs that SharePoint communication sites provide. And very good nugget that we will be discussing today as well. It's available with integration with Teams. So we can integrate it in Teams. And the reason why I want to kind of highlight that point, we spend a lot of time right now working with Teams. Teams became the platform for hybrid work experience. And there is no other better way to bring learning and training directly in Teams. So just to continue to have that learning available in the flow of work that employee perform. That's why we will highlight the fact that we can integrate this platform in Teams and how to do it. So what do we have? So we have that customizable SharePoint web part that I mentioned, but we also have those trained assets. And assets, it's just you can call it as a short class or short material piece of material that you want to consume about a specific topic. And all those learning paths that's set up as a playlist, they curated by Microsoft. But because it's a customizable and extensible solution, you can decide, do you want a specific playlist look like it was designed by Microsoft, or do you want to modify it? Do you want to make some changes? And I'll cover some of use cases as I'm going to be doing a demo. Couple items we need to know about deployment. So the way how we can get it, there are multiple ways, but I always say that the easiest way, this is what we call one-click deployment. If you go to SharePoint Lookbook, and we will share a link to that lookbook. Many of you who know SharePoint and use SharePoint know it's a perfect location to get specific pre-built site templates for your SharePoint environment. There are close to 20 or 30 different templates that there. And one of the templates that actually featured on that SharePoint Lookbook site is Learning Pathway Solution. There are other ways to install it. The manual way to install it through the GitHub. There are instructions how to install it on GitHub site as well. And my recommendation, so if for whatever reason you had the older installation of learning pathways, and you're not sure if it's not been used by customers, if it's not has been modified or customized, I would delete that site and I will recreate through the lookbook. If you have robust solution where you have already existing content and you want to make sure that you up to date with all the latest web parts for learning pathways, so you can actually do in place upgrade of your solution. But for purpose of this conversation, lookbook, definitely way to go. It's quick, painless, and very effective. So few things we need to know for as far as prerequisites. So you have to be a SharePoint Online global admin in order to install it. You have to have SharePoint Online app catalog, and I will discuss it in the next slide about this app catalog. And you have to have site collection owner permission for app catalog. So, but the thing is to remember, you only need all that stuff when you need to install it and deploy it into your tenant. As soon as you get the approval and cooperation from global admin, if you don't have that role on your own, you can work together, and with our help, we can guide you through installation process, which is very easy. But after that, because it's a SharePoint solution, as long as you have site owner permission to specific SharePoint site that has been deployed into your tenant, you don't need global admin role. You don't need any cooperation from global administrators, because at that point you will be maintaining your SharePoint site as any other communication site, being a site owner. So when I mention one of the prerequisite app catalog, SharePoint admins and usually tenant global admins, they know it's just another SharePoint site collection where a custom solution gets deployed. It should be a specific site collection. So like I said, any SharePoint administrator probably knows about app catalog, and in many environments it already exists because app catalog site has been around since classic SharePoint and the SharePoint on premise. And as I was describing lookbook, so this is very easy URL, but we'll share it with you anyways, where you can navigate and find learning pathway solution, and you literally will have to do one click, add to my tenant. If you have prerequisites, and if you don't have prerequisites, it will tell you what's wrong. So if you're missing app catalog, it will tell you that the app catalog is not found in your environment, and there is a literally 3-click way of deploying app catalog, creating app catalog site collection in your SharePoint environment. So it's very easy to do. Usually, the deployment takes probably 20 to 25 minutes, depends what else going on your tenant and how good is the internet connection. Um, and when solution has been deployed, you will receive email, automated email to the your mailbox, because you will be specifying your email when you will be deploying solution. That solution has been deployed, everything went well. It will give you quick URL link to your solution, and you will be done. So this is very straightforward. And when you done with the deployment, and I'll just show you what you will see something like that. You'll see a SharePoint site with a specific URL that you specified during deployment, and will have all the menu navigation, all the items, not exactly everything that I showed you, showing right now, because I will be talking about next customization, and I have my learning pathway customized for my specific learning needs and experience. And this is the power of this solution, in my mind, customization, because you can really make it your own. And so this is what you will see. SharePoint site, it's all the same. You will be able to go to see site content. So I just shown you that there is nothing different from regular SharePoint communication site. You have your assets, different lists. Some of those solutions are actually built by the deployment process. Some of those pages are created by the deployment process. And those web parts also deploy to this particular SharePoint site. So this is what you will see as soon as you get deployed. So now let's talk about customization. And flexibility of the platform, as I mentioned, allows you to do a lot of different things. You can establish calendar solution to your learning and training. So if you want to advertise your training calendar, you will be able to do it on this site. There are a lot of tips and tricks how you can bring more people into your solution by building the champions network if you don't have within your organization, by promoting subject matter expert in learning pathways, so that organization know who to contact if they have question about not only the platform by itself or solution by itself, but maybe I want to explore more. I want to maybe get like certification path. So if you have additional assets or additional materials about specifically Microsoft Learning, you can host on this particular site. But you can also host your custom content as well. So the thing that you need to understand as far as the structure, so all the way in the top, we have categories. And then we have 3 levels down from categories. We have subcategories, playlists, and assets. And assets, as I mentioned before, it's a lowest denominator in this solution. So as you can see right now on the screen, if I have this kind of hierarchy, so at the top I have category, and there are total 4 categories. And Fortunately or unfortunately, categories, you cannot customize categories. It's kind of preset by Microsoft, and this is based on years of experience of doing learning solution and training solution for customers. Microsoft said that for this type of content that we're trying to promote on this learning pathways site, we will have preset number of categories. So we have get started, products, day one, and recommendations. And then within I'm sorry, yeah, and within each category we can have several subcategories, and subcategories you can actually customize. Then you have playlists that's fully customizable, and assets. So you get, with this solution, you get close to 750 different assets. But you can also add your custom assets, and I will show you in a few minutes. And you also can build your custom playlist and custom subcategories. So this is kind of a structure of the learning pathways. So if we dive a little bit deeper, and we can see that we can create custom assets, as I mentioned before. And custom asset could be any external link to external site. It could be a SharePoint page that has some embedded content, some additional information. And I'll show you in a second what I mean by that in my learning pathways. And you can combine your custom assets in a custom playlist. So this is something that, like I said, very robust, self-intuitive. Any administrator can go in and create a new asset or new playlist. So let me switch really quickly to my demo, and I'll show you exactly what I mean. So as right now, as you can see, I have all the different playlist, and this is what we see. This is our categories, right? We have get started, we have scenarios, we have adoption tools. So those kind of in products. This is a breakdown that we cannot customize. But as I mentioned, like if we go into the scenarios and playlist, we can do something custom. So you can see here, I do have all the products and all the training materials about Outlook. I have materials. Oops. I have materials about security, Word. So all this stuff is here. But I can also go, and what I did, I created a custom playlist. And it happened to be in my fictional organization. I have SAP SuccessFactors as my learning platform. And I want people, maybe it's not exactly perfect scenario, but I want my people, my users to understand stuff about learning pathways. And SAP, how SAP can be, how I can reach SAP materials inside my learning pathway. And I created very quick playlist with several assets about success factors. And here we see in play this particular approach. So we have a web part that sits on this particular page, and I was able to embed it in this web part materials. It's just a PDF file about whatever topic you decided. So maybe you have some third-party applications that don't have learning management attached to it. Maybe it's some old applications that still use in your organization, but we want to promote learning and training specifically for new employees. So instead of sending them to some obscure file share where someone stored a document, or even worse, on someone's personal OneDrive or SharePoint site that may be used by some group of people but not known to another group of people. You can put it in centralized location, and that this will be available to your end users with literally one click. Another example that I brought here. So for recommendation, this is very good for employees, like day one employees. You want to set up specific learning paths for day one for employees. And yes, I want to tell all about great Microsoft content, what is Microsoft 365, how to work with OneDrive, how to use Teams for chats. But I want my users also understand how we do expense reporting. So I created expense reporting playlist. And again, within this playlist, I can embed certain items, assets that will describe how to create expense report, how to approve expense report. As you can see, has nothing to do with Microsoft. This is your custom content that could be brought into your environment with very little effort. What you just need to come up with a strategy. You need to discuss with your learning champions what needs to be brought into this platform, and you will be able to do it. And the way how to do it, so for admins, you will have that learning pathway administration. And this is kind of a backdoor of the learning pathway solution. Not everyone obviously will be able to see it. It's only people with the right permissions will be able to see it. And I can show you like experience of another user. I am in learning pathways as another user, as Deborah, my HR specialist, and I don't see, I cannot even get to administration. So I'm just leveraging just standard out of the box Microsoft SharePoint audience targeting to actually hide certain menu options from my non-admin users. But going back to the admin users, as you can see, we have the structure that I was describing to you. So we have all those categories, and within categories you have subcategories, and subcategories, like you can create your own subcategories, and then you can create your own list, and you can hide even content that already exposed to you by Microsoft. So if you decide that your organization is not ready for specific collaboration topic, or when we talk about modern workplace or security, you want specifically hide certain information, you can completely hide entire subcategory. You can hire, you can hide a specific playlist or an item in the playlist. So this is the flexibility that you have with your solution. And we're going to talk about government cloud or GCC tenants versus non-GCC tenants, and upfront, this particular content is not GCC focused. So it's a content for all employees. And I will stop a little bit later trying to give you some tips and tricks how we can make it more suitable for your end users if you do have a GCC tenant or government cloud tenant. So this is kind of quick overview how you can customize from the point of view of learning pathway solution. But you can take it even step further. So for example, you have recordings, video recordings that has been done or provided by Microsoft from previous sessions. So maybe you have embedded YouTube videos from excellent Michael's YouTube channel that you want to promote for your end users. So you can create a simple SharePoint page, and you can embed different videos, being from stream, being from YouTube, just leveraging standard SharePoint functionality, SharePoint web part for stream or for YouTube videos, and you can bring that to your end users. So with one click, again, everything centralized. People come in, people who want to consume content in small bits of information, small pieces, they will go in playlists, they will just select one thing, how to share files in OneDrive, and they got the knowledge. Someone who wants to learn more and have their own pace, they can go through the playlist and get one by one item from a playlist. Someone who wants to watch instructor-led videos, they will come here, they will be able to click and watch video. And we will be talking about analytics. So you can even take it a step further. If you want to make sure that a specific video drives the engagement or drives, you want to have analytics on specific video learning session, you can place this video on a separate web page. SharePoint web page. Then you will get analytics on this specific web page, and you will know that learning sessions that Michael had done on Viva Connection brought so much engagement, and people, there are so many viewership, and people share and they comment on that. So this is another way of embedding this solution kind of in a culture of your learning culture within your organization. Again, it requires promotion. You need to make sure that content stayed fresh, that if you have calendar, like I have calendar on my homepage, so it stay fresh, that you have certain events that you're trying to promote within the organization. You promoting training champions, the people who maybe manage this solution, but also could be contacted for a specific question about learning and training. And there are a bunch of other stuff you can do. You can have links to other resources. Like, for example, here I have a link for LinkedIn Learning. So if you have single sign-on and you have subscription for LinkedIn Learning, you'll be able seamlessly to jump to LinkedIn Learning. I also brought in some of the things that, like, if someone wants to see a catalog, as not as those cards, but they want to do some searching and they want to see and navigate to playlist different way. It's possible this way. Again, this is a customization. It's not part of out of the box solution, but we can provide you with this additional information that will make users more flexible. People can actually search this list and for two purposes. Michael will know why. But if I want to find all the content that relates to Yammer into my solution, I don't have to go and uncheck or click every single card through the subcategories or playlist. I can find it in one centralized location, and I can actually jump to that particular asset with one click. It just opens another tab in your browser and display information from Microsoft Learning. So those customization available, and we will touch on them a little bit later. But now I want to jump into another item that near and dear to my and Michael's heart: implementation and integration in Teams. So as I mentioned, why do we want to do it? We always want to ask question why, because we want to bring that content to end users. We want them to access learning pathways with one click while they chatting with their customers, while they talking to their coworkers, while they may be sharing, or they just finished meeting and they have 15 minutes or 10 minutes free time and they want to jump to learning, instead of navigating, opening separate browser window, trying to remember, if you don't have a bookmark, where this information actually lives in SharePoint on some other platforms. We're trying to bring it inside Microsoft Teams. And as you can see, I have same SharePoint site, 100% same experience, but it's running in Teams. So, and if I again jump to my tenant and I am in Teams, I have my regular experience, I'm working on the projects, everything looks good, I'm chatting with my coworkers, but I have a little bit of time, or I just forgot how properly to share files in OneDrive. With one click, I'm navigating to learning pathways, and I can just jump and figure out, like, I have time to learn, or I remember that there is something about Teams that I liked, but I don't remember how exactly to use it. Okay, I need quick tips on how to manage meeting. So that's kind of speed, number of clicks that I just did to get to that content, versus someone who will try to go to Microsoft Bing and try to find it through the search. You get 25 different assets. They're not curated. This is it. This is whole grail that coming from Microsoft. So, and we got there with literally 2 clicks. So now you would ask me, okay, how can we get it? Is it as easy deployment into Teams? Is it easy installing in SharePoint? It's a little bit more steps, and there is more than one way to do it, but I can tell you it could be accomplished within probably 15, 20 minutes. The only thing that you need someone who has Teams administration access, so they can register app in the Teams application store. So as always in Microsoft, we have more than one way to do certain things. Uh, there is a GitHub way how you can implement learning pathway integration with Teams, and there is another way integrating using what I call Viva connection approach. So it's basically generating a package from PowerShell script. You run PowerShell script, it's going to ask you few questions like app name, description of the app, if you want to provide customized icon. And it's another thing, you can make your learning pathway personal to your organization. So if you have a specific name that would be recognized by your organization, you can name it that way. Like in my case, I'm not consistent. My application name Learning Pathways, but SharePoint sign Let's Learn. You can make it consistent. You can create different icon for your site. So it's all customizable. Please keep it in mind. But at the end, when you run this PowerShell script, it just generates a zip file that contains the package of the app manifest for this particular integration with Teams. And then the next step, you'll go with help of your Teams admin. You will go to the Teams store. You will add this solution. You will find this. You will add this solution by uploading the zip file, and then you can configure that this solution, and this is definitely best practice, because I have two customers. One customer who both of them they deploy learning pathway in SharePoint. Both of them went through the integration piece. They integrated with Teams. They created an app. The app learning pathway app available in their Teams store. But one customer went in step further and they pin learning pathways into the left navigation or application through the app policy. They just pin it to all employees because everyone in the organization has access to the SharePoint site. There are no secrets. Everyone learns and trains. So that's kind of security is not an issue. So they pin it to the left side. The other organization, they did not pin it. They allow customers to go in and actually discover this app on their own and allow them manually to pin that application. In both cases, application well received. But in the customer one, when organization actually chose to pin it on the left nav, their engagement with this content probably 40% higher than organizations that choose kind of leave it on the background. So if you're gonna go that route, I would strongly recommend to actually bring it into Teams through pinning in left navigation. It's like I said, it's probably 15-minute process, but it's definitely worth it. So we've gone through this. I want to just spend 2 minutes because a lot of you are aware of Viva Learning. That's part of employee engagement Viva platform that Microsoft right now rolling out to all the customers. We have a lot of different modules. Viva Learning, one of them. It's a like central portal for entire learning management within your organization. It does not replace your LMS. It just complements because it built so many different integration points, and it's definitely very nice learning experience. So it's not available right now in government cloud yet. So consider learning pathway as a stepping stone for Viva Learning, but your content that you will have in learning pathways will not go away. It's not like when Viva Learning comes in play, then we will forget learning pathway. Not at all. It's just going to be integrated with Viva Learning, like other learning management systems. If you use I don't know, Brainstorm, Cornerstone, some Planet Technology, some other learning solutions, it will be integrated with Viva Learning. Similar learning pathways will be integrated in Viva Learning in the future as well. And right now, we have different partners that different learning partners that Microsoft working to integrate those solutions inside Viva Learning. So learning pathways will be similar integration into Viva Learning. Unfortunately, we don't have exact date on the roadmap when Viva Learning will be available in government cloud. But if I can be a weather forecaster, I think we'll see it sooner than later, based on some internal information that we see for some other Viva modules for government cloud. Just recently, Viva Topics has showed up in government cloud. So I think Viva Learning not far behind. A few tips and tricks about this particular solution, and then maybe we can have some Q&As or maybe some closing comments from Michael. So as I mentioned, we want to promote this solution. If you just quietly deploy learning pathway into your SharePoint environment and just leave it there, I can guarantee you it's not going to be very successful. There are a few people in your organization by just searching through the asset, they will find their way. They probably will start using it, but it's not going to be the impact that you want to have. Specifically because we position in this learning pathway solution as alternative to custom success training programs that Microsoft used to run in the past. So you want to engage as many users as possible. How you can do that? Run awareness campaign, promote learning pathways. If you have channels of communication with your end users through monthly letters, or maybe you have community calls, simple emails, just promote that learning pathways. If you have tools like Company Communicator that install in your organization, and Michael can, if you don't know what Company Communicator is, Michael share with you this excellent tool that allow communication through Teams. So find a way to promote. Think about there are specific items in the learning pathways, adoption center. There are for administrators. It tells you what the best ways of adopting this particular platform. So use those tools. Think about what can be done as far as bringing your champions. If you have champions, promote within champions community. And if you don't have champions community, why are you waiting? So just it's another excuse to create champions community within your organization and bring them around this particular experience so they can share this asset, this type of learning and training experience with broader user community. And we can always think about like what impact we're actually making. We want to understand that something that we deployed, that it's successful, and we want to run reports. We want to see that this deployment that we did, this whole effort that we went through deploying, trying to adapt and promoting within our end user communities, that actually pays off. And because of it, it's a SharePoint solution. It's a very easy way to measure it because you can run those simple analytics that allows you to understand the engagement of end users. And yet, like I said, you can get really creative if you decided to spend a little bit more time on customization, then you can measure this solution not only by like overall my entire SharePoint site, my entire learning pathways solution, but break down content and try to see like what pages or what content drives more engagement, more popular, because you will be able, again, with SharePoint Analytics, you will be able to do that. So, and another thing that you can always try to collect feedback, promote knowledge and learning. You can build attestation. You can have like fire chat or fire quizzes that you can run on your site. I just did something like real simple, but if I on my site I have this take a test. Maybe you can just pop in and just small quiz based on some of the learning and just like simple Microsoft. So, oh, and my forms doesn't want to cooperate with me. Something happened with my phone. But bottom line, it's just my simple Microsoft form that you can customize. It can look something like this, where you can just do quick quiz about the topic. And maybe you can tell people whoever answer questions, they can get some points. That's how you can gonna grow champions community. And
Hey, Alex.
last thing, yeah, I know. Last slide,
I'm
Mike, I
just
promise.
that no. That last point around using a form, you can get a little bit elegant with this too. If you work with closely with your IT team, because that form can actually kick off a Power Automate. They could run a PowerShell script. They could add someone to a Azure Active Directory security group, which would give them access to an application like approvals or Power Apps or Power BI. And so you could actually have the training, they do the training, they fill out the form, they prove that they're not a danger to themselves or others at that point. And then when they submit, it can score. And if they have a passing score, that's all just built into forms. Then it kicks off a little Power Automate and it adds them to the group. And then they get an email from the group and it says, welcome to the group. Click here to install Power BI as an example. So you can take this pretty far with just a little bit of creativity of understanding the capabilities and how to piece them together.
100% agree. Yeah, this is definitely. I actually was trying to create a simple Power App where users can just select what class they took and provide feedback, and the feedback will feed Power Automate that send notification to learning managers. The last thing I have, it's promised last slide. So government cloud versus commercial cloud. We know, as I mentioned before, the assets that we have in learning pathways, they're not tailored specifically for government cloud. But you can get creative as far as how to filter those assets out. Like certain things like Yammer that's not available. You can find the assets that related to Yammer and just hide them or delete them. It's up to you what you want to do with that. You can also kind of create a feedback form where you proactively ask users to maybe provide feedback, and if they found something that, oh, I read this particular asset and it tells me that I can click on this button, but this button does not exist because I'm in government cloud. So you can kind of proactively collect this information and go back and edit your content. And as I mentioned before, when I was showing you the catalog of the solution, right? So this guy, so this could become handy if I want to disable or hide everything that related to, for example, Microsoft Access, because I don't want my organization to use it. So there are a lot of things you have to be careful because there are some just mentioning of Microsoft Access in description, but there are specific intro to Access. So definitely I probably would want to find through administrative portion of the solution, find this intro to Access and hide it. So that's one thing you need to keep in mind. So you will have less questions from your end users why it's not available in our cloud. But in my mind, 85% of the content, it's applicable for both government cloud and commercial. And that's it.
Right. That was awesome, Alex. There was a ton of questions in the chat. I really appreciate how active everyone was in this. We are just about at time. Lauren, I see that you have your hand up and would be happy to answer questions. And let me see, I think you have your microphone blocked. So let me allow your microphone. And did you want to ask a question? I tried to enable your microphone, but then you lowered your hand and I lost you. Nope, you're good. Okay. All right. Well, if anybody does have a question, feel free to raise your hand, and we can answer it quickly. And then if not, then you can follow up with your CSM, your customer success manager, as a follow on to this. And if you don't know who your CSM is, then just put it in the chat and we'll take a look at the chat. Just say, I don't know who my CSM is, and this is what agency or state or organization I work for. And then we'll find out and we'll get that information to you and we'll have them reach out to you. But really want to thank you all for participating in this. And so what we're going to do is we're going to send out an email to everyone that is registered, letting you know about the office hours that we'll have. I was looking for time on Alex's calendar for like next week, but he's a very popular man. And so we'll find a time to do a follow-up to assist you with any kind of challenges that you're having. And then Alex, will also send an email as a follow-up, maybe with some additional directions on sites where they can have deployment directions?
Yeah, so I will share this particular deck that I presented that has tons of links as well. But I also add just to supplement that people don't have to go to the deck to find important and useful links for this solution.
And Lauren, yes, we will go ahead. I have a YouTube channel for my Texas Teams community, and we'll go ahead and host this video up there. And we'll send out a link to that video also as a follow-up to this. So we'll have the PDF of Alex's slides. We'll have a link to the video, and then we'll have the time and information about the office hours that we'll be doing in the next couple of weeks. So we really want to support you all in using this. Our customers that use it love it, and we want you guys to use it and love it too. And with that, we're 1 minute over. Thanks for everybody's patience. Thanks for being such a great customer of ours. We just we appreciate y'all and all the work you do to support the citizens.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye, everybody.